All right. To call the meeting, the October meeting of the Law Enforcement and Judiciary Committee meeting to order. Do we have the Sheriff's Department on?
This is Clay. Amber and I are here.
Okay, great. So,
Jim just walked in.
all right, perfect. Is the meeting properly posted?
Yes, it was posted.
Thank you. All right, did everyone have a chance to look at the agenda for today's meeting? It looks like it is a 17-point agenda.
Oh, this is Chad. I'll move to approve.
Gary Severson with the second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I have some discussion.
Okay,
Could we do a roll call of members?
sure. Amber, can you do that, or do you want me to do it? I don't know.
Go ahead and do it, Melissa.
Okay, all right. Well, Melissa Luck present. Carrie Severson,
Present.
Cosgrove,
Present.
Dave Turk,
I'm here.
Dan McGuire, Dan McGuire, are you on the phone by chance? All right, so it looks like 4 present. Thanks, Carrie. I think, yeah, we need to document. All right, so all those in favor of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we have an agenda. Did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes from the September 11th meeting? If there's no additions or corrections, I would entertain a motion to approve.
This is Dave. I'll make that motion.
This is Chad. I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, our minutes are approved. All right, so number 5, I don't know if you guys, so that's Project Lifesaver update. So I did send on the contract that they are asking the Sheriff's Department to sign to Ben, and he looked it over and he wrote a resolution. And so I think what we need to do at this point is we need to approve this resolution and send it on then to the full county board for approval. I did notice there was one typo, so I guess would someone like to make the motion to send this resolution on to the county board?
This is Chad. I'll make that motion.
Gary Severson second.
All right, so for discussion, I think that there's a typo in the 3rd paragraph where it says the committee and to Sheriff Jim Bindle and the committee is now, it says presently this resolution. I think it's supposed to be presenting this resolution to the county board.
That makes sense.
Actually, the one phone number, I don't know, Barb, I'm not sure, there might be someone from Project Lifesaver attending by phone. Although if we don't have any questions, I think that, does anyone have any questions for them as far as, I think we've talked about it several times now, so. Oh, and Barb is asking you guys to turn your cameras on. So is there any discussion on the resolution? Looks pretty straightforward to me. All right, so then all those in favor of sending this resolution on to the full county board for approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, awesome. So that means that I know they have all the money and we're ready to go. So I think as soon as we get this through the county board, they will start working on getting this actually to actually have this program in our county. So I think that's a really good thing. All right. So now I will go to item number 5, item number 6, approval of the PSAP grant resolution. I believe Stacy Kleist will want to update us on this. Is that correct, Stacy? Oh, that's not you? Sorry, you're muted. We can't hear you. Amber, do you know who put the PSAP grant resolution on the? She's
Should
not.
be the sheriff's department. It's a public, that's the,
Yeah, the PSAP is our,
stuff.
right. I am not muted on this end. This is not my grant, is what Stacy says.
Melissa,
Yes.
Clint sent me the email about it. and
Oh, that one, right.
yep, asked me to put it on the agenda.
Okay, so we're waiting on Clint, who looks like he's on the phone right now.
Is this the request for a proposal? I thought that would be under, agenda item 15.
Nope, this is a separate request.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Supervisor McGuire is on his way to the courthouse and he's looking to get access. So I apologize. The question was?
So item number 6 is approval of PSAP grant resolution. That was something that you had sent to Stacy. That's right. I do remember reading that now. You sent that to Stacy, or not to Stacy, to Amber and I to put on the agenda. So basically, it's a resolution asking the state to put more money into the 911 PSAP upgrades. But we've already done that. We have already upgraded.
Mhm.
So I mean, we can do it as far as helping other counties if they think our voice would be helpful.
But
But
didn't
we've
we
already-
also already write that letter to them before when we did the grant, we also wrote a letter.
We did. Yeah. So I guess, Clint, are we wanting to, this, my understanding was this resolution was really just telling the state that counties need help, right?
That's all it is. We're in support of the state allocating this money for that project. With us not having a significant need for it, how much effort do we want to do in it? Yeah, but I guess it could impact other counties. So and what other things might trickle down of it, I can't speak to that effect. So it was, I think, a petition that came out to Wisconsin Counties Association to consider.
Okay. Barb, is there any potential for anything else we will need with our PSAPs or our 911?
I probably need to talk to the sheriff's department before I answer that. I have an opinion that I don't know that they would share. Yeah, there's always, and what's going to happen in 4 to 5 years, we're going to need an upgrade. So yeah.
Okay. So it seems like it's worth the effort. I mean, the resolution is already written. Amber, is that resolution on our iPads? One yesterday.
Don't think they
Add any
put it on.
on the system for that.
Can the other committee members? I mean, I guess I can read it, or we can save it till the next committee meeting. It's not like this something that has to be approved today for the next county board meeting, right? I guess.
I can drop it in there. Stand by.
Okay. I mean, Dave, Carrie, and Chad, I'm just, without having read it, is this something you want to approve to send onto the board, or do you want to read it first?
I'm fine with, it sounds fine, and we're not asking for any money. We're just asking the legislature to increase the funding for that is all we're doing. And if it's going to help out our neighbors and potentially us down the road, I'm all for it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, that's
I agree.
exactly what it says. That's exactly what it basically, and it came from the Wisconsin Counties Association. So, it's probably worded really well, and there's not going to be any red flags in this resolution. All right. If that's the case, then I would entertain a motion to send this resolution on to the county board for approval.
Jerry Severson moves.
And Dave seconds.
Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, so the resolution is being sent on to the county board. All right. With that, we get to the coroner updates. Sheriff, did you hear, or is the coroner on, or have we heard from him?
Yes, I do. I have here deaths. Excuse me. Deaths are up in the county. Numbers for comparison. 1 year September 2017, 86 deaths for the year. Through September 2018, 82 deaths for the year through September. 2019, 88 deaths for the year through September. 20, there was 102 deaths through September. 94 out of the 102 were cremations in 2020. 3 pending at this time, waiting for toxicology results to make final determination of cause of death. Although COVID cases are rising in the county, we have not seen an impact where our office is connected. Coroner's office will provide a detailed report regarding manner and cause of death for the year at the end of the year. Thank you for your continued support. Everyone stay safe. Coroner Jim Rosen.
He didn't say like any particular reason why our deaths are a little higher? Have there been more drug related deaths, or he didn't really say?
He did not say.
All right, thank you. All right, so now we are to Stacy, the clerk of court updates.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Did everybody get the report that I emailed to you?
Yes.
Monthly reports kind of just stand on their own as far as the detail of what is happening, normal volume, high volume. We are running court. In fact, we have court going right now. DJ's in the back doing what we have going on, starting that calendar today. Sarah's working remotely. DJ and I are in the office working. We have closed our office to walk-up customers and posted notice on the door. We are here. We can help customers over the phone if they call us. We are not opening up to in-person. We just simply don't have a means, I guess, to busing customers safe. You know, we work with a lot of folks that are not wearing masks. This building is not even signed that people are supposed to wear masks, even though it's a statewide mandate. So at any rate, that's just what we've done, taken upon ourselves to continue all of our services. And the things that I want to talk with you guys on, I guess, today, just to update you on the status of projects. The work in the small courtroom is progressing very well now. Mike Marshall had to do a lot of extra wiring, and I'm sure some of you that's been explained about what he found. And no surprise in a building of this age that's had a lot of different work done over the years, that there would be surprises. So that is getting closer to the end than it is to the beginning. None of the work then in the large courtroom has begun. However, the specs have been put together by Barb for the video conference system. Judge Sharp has talked to the property committee. He has explained where
this is Clint.
he is at on this.
I was wondering if you had
what has been done
success in
to
getting
try
on
to
or not?
allow the courtroom to be available for all of this work. I understand the pressures to vendors and to MIS of trying to get this done by the end of the year. The judge will probably face a lot of pressure. I shouldn't even say pressure. Our county, we're being looked at as that we just can't get stuff done. because of the fact that the courtroom has been sitting there for so many months and months. You know, we met with state officials and district court officials and IT and everybody back on March 10th, and then COVID happened and everything. So we were hopeful that we would get some of these things done while the courtroom was empty, and I know you've all heard the reasons why that hasn't happened, but now we've reset all of these trials and things that were to happen in the last 3 months of this year. Judges, not just our judge, other judges that have Richland County cases have set matters for the first couple of months of the year, a lot of them. Some of those have been set a couple, 3 times. So parties in these cases are they're not happy. They think that us in the court, that we're a bunch of just buffoons that can't figure things out. We're the ones that end up looking bad and have to try to very PC explain things to people why it's not being done. So we're just interested in it getting done, and I think what's going to happen is with all these trials that have been reset and are happening early in the next year, they're just going to happen, and vendors and IT are probably just going to have to work around those events at that time. I don't think we can just keep resetting them.
Stacy, there will literally be no floor in there. It'll be joists. That's not a realistic statement to make.
There will be no floor?
Yeah, we have to literally pull the floor up.
Right. Then I guess you guys we might have to start noticing you guys as part of the final pretrials in all of these cases, so that you guys can explain instead of the clerk putting her neck out and constantly explaining to all of the parties in these cases, victims included, victims, attorneys, defendants, police officers, other witnesses, judges, everywhere, because frankly, I'm tired of doing that, and I'm tired of being the one that has to do that explaining, because I have done my level best during this period, and I can't do any more than that. But at this point, some of these matters have been reset, and there's some high-profile matters. And so maybe, Barb, if you want to go on the record and attend some of those hearings, I would gladly put you on the notification grid so that you can tell Judge Rude and the parties in like the Luke Clemens case what'll have to happen. Otherwise, maybe there'll just be days. I don't know. That's why we wanted
be more helpful with that
to be done before the end of the year.
Well, we're doing our best. We've had that discussion. And what would be more helpful with that is if you would put me on the list so we know what dates to avoid.
So again, we'll do that. Well, first of all, I guess I'll say we'll do that. I probably better ask those judges if it's okay to put you guys on there, because you're not parties to the case. That's the thing. So that's what I mean. The explanation needs to come from you guys. But I guess.
And we're the only county in the state that isn't done.
You're not a party. You're not an attorney on the matter. You're a member of the public, so the judge, you would have to get authority from those judges to be able to speak during those hearings. So I could give you the emails maybe for those judges, and maybe that's where we should start. IT could communicate with Judge Darcy Rude of Vernon County, Judge Lynn Ryder of Crawford County, and of course our judge and the district court administrator.
I'd be happy to do that. Are we the only county that doesn't have this done? Out of 72, really? We're the only ones?
It's not that. It's the fact that ours also is, we're not talking just the DAR. We're talking, because the DAR will be going in the small courtroom. The reason that we timed it all together, Barb, you were there, you knew that because we were gonna be ripping up the floor to do the video conferencing stuff. The video conferencing was borrowed for last year. And then we held those meetings. We had vendors in the courtroom prior to COVID. This was prior to Clint coming on. You and I were there, a bunch of other folks were there. It happened on March 10th.
But then we were told that the small courtroom had to have priority.
We were told that the small courtroom, because of the fact that it would be easier to be done, and the only thing that had to happen was the jar and the carpentry and the flooring, not a video system, that would be much simpler. That's why that was decided to happen first, so that we had not just a jury room, to do hearings in. With COVID, of course, we are not doing any hearings in person. However, jury trials, of course, have to be in person. So there's a whole lot of things that have happened, but also the fact that because those things happened, our courtroom has been wide open and available for use.
All right, so can I ask a question? Stacy, can I ask a question, please? Barb,
Yeah.
Can you tell me where exactly is the big courtroom? As far as where are we at, and what do you realistically think is going to happen?
Specs are written. They were emailed to everybody this week. They get posted today. Then we have to post for 2 weeks at least, if not 3. The way
Can you speak up? It's really hard to hear you right now.
All right, is everybody else having trouble hearing me?
Oh.
Okay. So the specs are posted for 2 weeks. They have to be posted, if not 3. I think that it's 21 days, but I'm not 100% on that. They will be posted. Our rules by the county say 2 weeks. And they have to also hit the observer for 2 weeks per our county rules. After those advertisements are out and the bids are solicited, we'll get them back. I have to review them. That piece will then go, the vendor will come in, and the way that it is, the vendor has to direct some of the wiring. So we can't even start with like some of the electrical wiring and some of the floor wiring until the vendor selected. So there's a lot of pieces that really we have to go in order. So 2 weeks out for that, at least a week and a half to review the bids that come back and then to select, because it's a big one. Preliminary costs that I'm seeing are coming in higher than the 72,000. So we have to figure out where that money is going to come from. And then after that, it's going to have to go to LEJC, Finance, and County Board. With our process of government and the way those meetings fall, I don't know how we're going to get it done by the end of the year.
The judge has asked, he's hopeful that there will be a board session in November. And I don't know, Clint, have you found out if there will be or not?
Marty's in favor. I've got to coordinate to kind of get everybody else on base to make sure that we can, with probably a petition versus waiting till the 27th to know for sure.
And the other thing, I think the longer that we go, of course, the higher the cost is going to be. Because things never get cheaper.
Well, we do have to go through the correct process. It's not a great process, but it is what it is. And it's what we're stuck with right now. So,
it's unfortunate that it didn't roll sooner while the courtroom was available. And I had been talking to you, Barb, you and Jason. We had spoke a couple of times right as we all were walking street into the building this summer. And then in August, you told me if it wasn't in writing, it didn't happen.
Okay, Stacy.
We have been having discussions on this. I made the mistake of not putting those in writing. I won't do that again. I would like to see a firm timeline, or an estimated, timeline, put in writing estimates of when these things are going to happen, because I think it's helpful to be able to visualize where we're at and how we're doing and to be able to make adjustments as we go.
So, do you think with the increased cases right now, I mean, it doesn't seem to me like things are going to be all that awesome by the time we even get to December and January. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like out of the realm of possibility.
I think that we need to, it's not my call to make, because the judge does have his court reopening plan done, but we are with it, we're not even to phase 1 because of the fact that cases are where they're at. So, I mean, really, none of us have a crystal ball. It seems like scientifically reasonable that during the winter, it could be pretty bad. And so, that's the thing, but I want something in writing, because I've learned that in writing makes it all happen, apparently. And so I think that we still need to have it in writing. And then that will be easier and more professional to communicate to judges and attorneys and others what this is. And honestly, it would make it so that the clerk didn't have to. The clerk isn't supposed to sit there and take minutes and process judgments. The clerk isn't really supposed to have to assert why our county's courtroom is not able to hold trials.
Okay, so
I would appreciate if something was done in writing. Yes, we're probably going to not have trials in January, is what it looks like now, but I don't know that. And so I would like for us to be maximizing the time that the courtroom is wide open to be able to do this work to get it done.
Okay, thank you. Barb, so can you basically just write down the timeline of what you just talked about in big, large letters at the top, saying that, of course, this is all estimated times, and, you never, just like with the small courtroom, you never know what you're going to get into, so things could take longer. But I think maybe it would help the other judges if they understand even the logistics of getting it out for bid and having it go through the different committees, just so that they can understand we're not just twiddling our thumbs. It's just that the way our process is set up.
In their courthouses, they do understand work being done on old buildings and such.
Okay, so I'm gonna suggest that
Richland County right now with it compared to the processes in their counties, to them it seems slow. So to put it in writing would be appreciated. Thank you.
I just want to make sure, I'll put estimated based on vendor availability, because that's the other part of this, is even when we get the beds, we have to go on their schedules. And if they're scheduled out, which through the end of the year, I can't control that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you. Do you have anything else, Stacy? I didn't have any questions from your report at all. It looked pretty straightforward.
I need approval from the committee for the fact that I applied for, and if we're lucky enough to get the DOJ grant, to accept that. I also forwarded that to you guys.
Right.
I just checked this morning. We haven't gotten an answer yet. It's still under review.
Right. So I guess I'll let, an opportunity arose, was it a week and a half ago? It was not very long ago, where the DOJ freed up some funds, possible grant funds, to help with, it's basically an emergency supplemental grant dealing with COVID and how the court's dealing with the court system, which includes the jail and the sheriff's department and Stacy's office and the DA's office. And Stacy Kleiss was good enough to get everyone together and come up with some ideas. And unfortunately, the deadline for that grant was before we could talk about it today. And so I gave her permission to go ahead and apply for the grant. So today, I think what we need to do is we will need to have a resolution giving her permission to have already applied for the grant, so that we can send it to the county board, so that we're following all of our rules. Does that all make sense? So I would entertain a motion to give Stacy permission to apply for the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funds Grant in the amount of $58,000 with no match. I should clarify there.
Correct. Gary Severson moves.
Chad, second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you.
All right, so, Amber, do you send that on to the full county board, or do I need to do that?
Generally, sorry, Melissa, I don't
What was the
generally
question?
send that stuff on to the,
So I will do that? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll send the Project Lifesaver and this resolution on, okay.
I have a question for Stacy.
Go ahead.
Stacy, what were the surprises that you talked about in the first part of your report that they found up in the courthouse?
Okay,
You talked about some
I couldn't hear your
surprises.
question. Can you say it again?
You talked about surprises, that the construction workers found surprises.
Yeah, up in the small courtroom, knob and tube electrical stuff, and wiring that was run connecting like from the small courtroom to the law library and then over to the judge's bathroom. They were for a while trying to figure out where stuff ran. It just a whole cluster of wires. I think hot wire stuff. I don't know. I'm not an electrician, so all I know is that everybody who seemed to understand what it was said it was really bad. And so Mike Marshall did some corrections. He is certified as an electrician. He did, so he got some stuff straightened out up there. Also, it's not a problem with the project right now, but Mike and Randy have been looking at the water issues that are happening up above the small courtroom and over on that side of the courthouse. And of course, there's the ceiling where it's fallen in the law library, which is right next to the small courtroom. Right now, the small courtroom ceiling is dry, though there are some places where you can see where it's come in a while ago. But Mike said there is moisture coming across. It is going to get to the small courtroom. So we're hoping that those problem areas up on the roof get some patching, some sort of resolution there, because all of this work that's going into the small courtroom, including the carpentry at the front of the room, and then of course new carpet, it would be really bad if that got ruined by water damage, like what happens in the law library. So, but that wasn't what caused any issues for Mike. The delay was all the electrical stuff he found.
So knob and tube is not good. A good deal. I'm kind of curious now, what else do we have for knob and tube that is in that courthouse and that needs to be taken care of? And hopefully those are not live wires either, because that is an extreme hazard.
What is Clint holding?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Property would want to take a look at that or not.
I don't understand all this stuff. Randy Nelson could probably answer all of your questions about that. Yeah, it's not from the way they were like, we found this and kind of, I took it was a bad deal.
Clint, what are you holding up there? Is that some of the bad wires that came out?
Some of the bad wiring, this is knob and tube, which is spliced and cut into actual circuit wiring. So this was found above the bathroom. The end state was that there were several walls that had to be opened up, which is going to lead to additional costs that we currently don't have funding allocated for, which we have to fix. On top of that, for the complication factors for the large courtroom will include the circuit boxes that we have up there on the second floor. Potentially to do some of the projects, they're already full, so we might have to start doubling on more of the different circuits. So,
is that electrical tape holding that together?
yes, but it's looks like it's held up over the last I don't know how many years. But this is, certainly not a good thing here. If a critter bites on that, or if you touch that, you will wish you had not, kind of a thing. So we made the decision, obviously, to change that to try to get first off in compliance and more safety standards. But then that did further delay the project.
All right.
Well, I think that needs to be addressed. Stopping tube, not good. That's a hazard for the building. So, just my comment.
I'm going to, this is on this agenda, but I guess as part of my report to you, I would like to suggest to the property committee that each month they do, as they meet and it's properly put on their agenda, to allow them to do a tour of the courthouse, like with Randy. I know in the past there have been issues and with supervisors all prior to you guys, none of you guys, that I've asked to show things to, and I was always told that they could not. It was not on an agenda. There were board members of decades that didn't even know where my office was. So I think that with people willing to look at things now, I think it would be good if they were able to do that tour, and Randy and I have talked about that. He's shown me a lot of the things. I've been in this building for 13 years and just, have observations, and Randy's doing great work. And so he fills me in on what he's doing because he knows that I care. And so I think that he would love to be able to give some sort of a tour so that people can see these problems and, and then maybe they could start addressing them now that we know what some of them are.
Stacey, I can talk to the chair of property and just, does anyone know who the chair is? Is it Steve Williamson?
Richard.
Richard McKee.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can give him a call and just make the suggestion too, and maybe Clint can add his 2 cents if he thinks that would be helpful. But I can certainly pass that along to him as an item, as a possible item for their agenda. If not every month, maybe, several times a year.
Yeah, or at least, but at least that they could always scratch it. They could have a standing item, but then always
Right.
scratch that.
I'll
And
talk
have
to him.
agendas that leave like future agenda items as a thing,
Right.
so that you can bring something up without getting yelled at by the person taking minutes that it's illegal to discuss that. Sometimes
Right.
we simply need to get agendas.
Yeah, I know. We still have to follow the rules too, so we can by having it on the agenda. So I'll talk to him and we'll move forward with that.
Madam
Did you have
Chair,
any?
I'm always curious how agendas get built when we don't have an item for future agenda items sometimes. Yvonne's number.
We have 2 people from property on our committee, so that's helpful.
Hold on. Let me see.
Right. Clint, did you have something to say?
I was going to say I've got it added onto the proposed agenda right now.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
I can address it with Chair McKee.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, Stacey, are you done then?
Yeah, we just have an issue. Our interpreter is called for court. We're trying to find this number.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. That leads us to probate department. Is Jennifer on?
I am. I did not bring my laptop to work today, so I am appearing by phone.
Okay.
And I just wanted to kind of touch base on a couple things that were already mentioned. The judge was able to attend part of the property meetings. I just wanted to reiterate that he would really appreciate having a November board meeting and just to keep things going forward in trying to help the other judges with what we need to do. And kind of on that same note, he is completing the operational plan for reopening. So Stacey and the judge and everyone has been working on that diligently along with many of the grants. So it feels like lots of things are going on all at the same time here. So just wanted to pass that on. And then I did not submit a report today. The county clerk's office is short-staffed, so I didn't get the monthly budget reports. Not too much should be changing. The only things that would see coming that I'll be submitting here in October is the cost of advertising for the position, as you all know. So that is coming out in the Shopping News and the Richland Observer, and I'll be accepting applications for the new position through Monday, October 12th, and I'm very happy with the applicants that we have received. There's a few that stand out in my mind. Some of them I just got actually yesterday, so I'm happy with those that have received so far, and hopefully I'll have a few more coming in before the 12th. And as far as the office, there's really no change at this time. I am still open. I still do have people coming in from out of town for probate issues and wills, so I have not changed anything as of today in my office. I'm not, we'll just have to see how things go going forward, but at this time I have not changed anything. And the judge is, like Stacy mentioned, running court by Zoom. Everything is going forward as we have been, so there's really no change. We're still busy having court. We're still having hearings. We're still having hearings with other judges as well. And Judge Sharp is still having Zoom hearings for other counties such as Iowa and Vernon and so forth. So that's pretty much what I have. And does anyone have any questions for me?
When do you anticipate doing interviews for that position?
So we'll be going through, I guess that would be one thing. So at this time, myself, the judge, and Stacy would be doing the interviewing, and I was wondering if someone from the LAJC committee would like to be in on that. I guess if you could help me out. I'm a little bit new to this process. So if you, Melissa, or if someone else on the committee wanted to be a part of the interview process.
Yeah, my question is, do we have it in the, because I know that we are, the LEJC committee is reviewing for the Sheriff's Department ones, and we have participated in the clerk of court interviews. So I just didn't know if we had a rule somewhere where we have to be present, the LEJC, or if this is one of those where it's really under the judge's purview.
It's, actually, you guys, by the policies, I don't know if they haven't fully transitioned yet, but involvement of the oversight committee is what has been called for. It doesn't have to be the entire committee. We have done them different ways. Sometimes we've done them only with the chair. And I don't know, Clint, we're still in that era. We haven't transitioned over fully, right?
We haven't. It's proposed though for October 27th. When was your interview dates?
So I haven't sat down with, correct,
So,
we haven't put that on the judge's calendar yet.
It probably won't be before, right, John?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Your interviews won't be before the October county board. I mean, you've got to go through testing of applicants, and you've still got a few days left of the process to take applications, right?
Correct, yes. So we have, yes, we still have a few more days that applicants can submit their application.
Yeah, and then once you go through testing, I don't know, when I've had to interview people before in the past, I found to have an entire committee because I felt I had to do as much work educating the committee on what it was I was looking for and what I needed as actually trying to find somebody that I needed. So, if we can streamline it where it's just one person from the committee or whatever, or involve the administrator.
So, I mean, unless someone else from the committee wants to be out there, I'm willing to be involved in that if that streamlines it. I mean, just, I guess, if you wanted to move forward sooner than the 27th meeting, I could make sure I could be there so that it can move forward. If you want to wait until after the October 27th meeting, then you wouldn't need one of us present unless you wanted one of us present. So I guess I'll leave that up to you. Unless the committee member has a different opinion. Okay. Does anyone else want to go? I'm willing to do it if no one else wants to do it. Okay. All right. So Jen, if you want to go forward before the 27th, certainly you can call me and involve me, and I will come to. Or I assume, are these interviews going to be in person, or how are you going to do the interviews?
So at this time, some of us will be in person. The judge may choose to be present by Zoom.
Yeah, it's a little tricky right now.
So it may actually be a combination of some of us present and some of us by Zoom.
Yeah, I may have to join by Zoom as well. My husband just had to have surgery, so he's a little bit vulnerable right now. So I would not want to bring something home to him. So I would probably join by Zoom as well. Okay. Did you have anything else?
I'm sorry, did we have any what?
Did you have anything else? Or?
Nope, that was it.
All right. So I'm assuming that you are looking forward to having some additional assistance in your office soon. It's on the horizon now, finally.
I am looking forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I do want to thank Clint for getting that on the last county board agenda. I'm sure that was a Herculean effort to get whatever was going on taken care of. So thank you for getting it on the agenda last month so we can move forward. All right, so now we are to number 10, district attorney updates.
Hi, friends. So, much of what I do is not really particular to the work of my job is not particular to administrative type of things. So fortunately, I don't have to talk for very long, which I know surprises many of you. Essentially, what's going on as a general proposition in our office, we have lots and lots of cases. I feel like they are and have been on the uptick, and the dynamics of criminal cases have really changed. And so it makes a lot of changes into our processes. For example, one, the nature of cases is changing, which I just think is interesting from a sort of sociological observation. We have a lot fewer OWIs, but a lot more sex assaults. And so I think that that's interesting, although the impact on that, of course, is significant in our office. So the nature of the cases really seems to be changing. The dynamics as far as pushing cases, of course, it doesn't particularly have to do anything with me. What defense attorneys and defendants do in their conversations. But it used to be the case when we would meet in court, defendants would have to come to court. Their bodies would have to be there, and the attorneys would be there, and then the attorneys could pull them aside, and they'd actually be able to talk to their clients for some period of time. Now that we don't have that, and defendants can just show up hither, thither, and yon, defense attorneys can't get a hold of their clients, and their clients won't get a hold of them. So we end up having resets after resets after resets because the defense attorneys and defendants can't get together. I don't put that at all on the defense attorneys, but so it might feel like the increase in cases is just because we have to reset them and reset them and reset them farther and farther out. So they're definitely, it has that flavor as well. We're also just getting hammered with the constitutional amendment regarding victims' rights and the changes to Chapter 950. You are going to hear me talk about this for every meeting for God knows how long, as you have for the last 2 years. We are having a huge increase in victim contacts, partly because of the change in the law and partly because of the court using Zoom. So our victim witness coordinator, who is fabulous, who is available to victims via her own personal cell phone, which is a whole other issue, She's available around the clock to victims and law enforcement and that kind of thing. She's drowning. We're all drowning with the victim work that we have to do right now. We are hanging tight. We're trying to see if this is just an uptick because the change in the law and the COVID, and we're all slogging through it. And we haven't had much litigation about the requirements of the DA's office and law enforcement. So maybe it'll shake out. But as for right now, it's pretty terrible. We have, as Stacy said, I don't know how many cases we have set for trial. I think we are scheduling all the way out to June. Yesterday, I don't think we've set this many trials in the last 9 years I've been here as we have in like the last 2 months. And I think that's part of the function of people aren't physically in the courtroom, so they're missing that sense of gravitas, right? They're sitting in their porch, calling in on Zoom, smoking and drinking a beer for their court appearances, which I kind of chuckle at, but so they don't have the sense of the gravitas. They're not meeting with their attorneys in person. So I think a lot of folks are just saying, well, I didn't do anything wrong, so just set it for trial, which of course is their right, but it's definitely different than it has been in the past. So that's sort of what we're slogging through right now. Otherwise, the technology is working really well. I think the technology between all of the staff has been working well as it has been. I've had to make some changes to my home office. I've been on the phone with DAIT. DAIT is our IT department for the state. And of course, for those of you, most of you know, but for those who don't, all of our computers come through the state. Part of our office is funded through the state. So our resources, often our resources, our first stop is with the state. So they've been working with us real well. I didn't expect anything different. So other than that, as a practical day-to-day matter, we are moving forward and happy to do so.
So Jen, I just have one comment, I guess, that the plan now is we're finishing up the 2021 budget, and but then right away, starting in January, February, we're going to start talking about the 2022 budget. And so I just want you to be sure, and I'm sure you will do this anyway, but I just wanted to put my 2 cents in that. I think that, you want to be evaluating whether your victim witness coordinator is going to be able to handle what is happening from this new process that you're having to do. And, we may have to have discussions about adding a person. And so I'd want to make sure that we don't wait until the end of the year to try to add a position, or, I think it should be in the discussions very early on.
Sure. And I can tell you, Melissa, that so the hammer hit early summer. Of course, because we've had these discussions, we just got hammered. And we don't have the anvil tied around our feet right now in the ocean, but it's still pretty bad. I contacted the clerk's office about what it would look like for the cost to my office or cost to the county of including basically an assistant to the victim witness coordinator. And so I got those numbers. Of course, it was midsummer, and I can't just say, hey, I want X, especially during the budget issues we were going through this last year. But don't you worry. I am already on top of it, and I'm sure we'll have that discussion moving forward. But I also did want to know, how much of a problem is this? Is this a problem that we got overwhelmed because it was all new and the COVID and everything all at once? And once we got some litigation and some more direction from DOJ, were we going to be able to settle back into a place where we could manage the new law? So I did want to wait for that as well. So, but otherwise, I'm sure you'll be hearing from me in the future. Thanks for the tip, though.
Wow. To put my 2 cents in on that. So, all right. Did you have anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Thank you. All right. Now we are to item number 11, approve monthly invoices and other sheriff department reports.
We can go straight to the bills. That's okay with you, Melissa?
Yep, that sounds good.
When you look down through, you're going to look at let's see, the one for number 13. What that is that they were building 3 squads.
So that's coming out of the capital outlay. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
All right, if no one has any questions on the bills, I would entertain a motion to pay them.
This is Chad. I'll move.
And this is Dave. I'll second.
Any discussion on the bills? I did notice that the only one that looks like we're kind of going in the red on would be the care of prisoners medical exams. Is that any of that because of COVID, or is that just routine medical stuff that's just happened to come up more than usual this year?
That's mainly due to new hires and the medical things they have to have in order to be hired.
Oh, so as we've had turnover,
Yes.
there's more of the general. Okay. All right. All right. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right. The bills are paid.
Madam Chair, I have to duck out now for my other meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Then we'll go to the sheriff's monthly report. As you can see, the total amount has gone up significantly because of the 58,000 that was utilized in GenCom.
Right.
I might add, we just had 4 squads outfitted by GenCom. And I have to tell you, the professionalism that was shown in the work that they completed was definitely outstanding for Richland County. Also, for the sheriff's department, we completed our jail inspection on Monday with the jail inspector, and we had just a small brief meeting in my office, and he was very pleased, and he reiterated that he was very happy that we were able to obtain the extra jailer position at the beginning of the year, as he still feels that we need to have 3 people in the jail, 1 dispatching, 2 working in the jail, and 1 can assist the dispatcher. So he was very happy that we were able to obtain that position. With this COVID-19 uptick, everyone started to feel the crush a little bit. So what I'm doing is I'm going to send my secretaries home 2 days a week, and they'll offset so that we have 1 here at all times. But other than that, I really don't have anything else to include. We are still completing our task as the sheriff's department on the front lines. Everybody is still utilizing the masks. They're still utilizing the hand cleaner. People are wiping stuff down. We're just moving forward. That's about all I have right now.
Are we quarantining new people that come into the jail, or what are you doing with new arrivals?
That's the pickle.
Right?
The jail inspector said that we are one of the only counties that does not have a designated area that we can put somebody into. We have a holding cell, but we don't have a cell block in particular. And we posed a question to him that, well, even if you had the cell block, if you have somebody and you want to keep them in there for 2 weeks, we're arresting people daily, and all of a sudden, why the 2 weeks, if there was somebody that came in, it defeats the purpose. And he agreed with that. He said this is definitely a test for every sheriff's department, that has a jail. So we're doing the best we can.
Is that inspector the same? It's the same one you've always had? He hasn't retired yet?
Correct. In fact,
You know-
I even asked him that, Melissa, and he said that he's not looking to retire yet.
Oh, good. Well, that's good for us, right?
Yes.
We have a working relationship with him, so.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So yeah. So really, you are using one particular cell, or you're not really able to quarantine at all? You're just bringing them in and putting them in with everyone else.
We keep them in the holding cell, but eventually, if they're held, once they go before the judge, if they have to be held, we have to move them back into the block. Again, it's a juggle of numbers, time.
What this is Clay. What we're running into is we do have a cell block open that we can utilize, but at the same time, you know, a lot of times we're dealing with a lot of the same personalities over and over again, and those personalities don't always get along together. So as much as we can, we'll try and quarantine, but certain people can't be put in the same cell blocks with other people, and so that's kind of where the struggle is. And if we put them in a designated cell block, like Jim said, now we bring somebody else in midway through that quarantine period,
Right.
and now we just extended that quarantine period. And it's a juggling act.
I mean, I guess I mean you're doing the best you can, and at least we're trying to do as much as quarantine as we can. I mean, all it's going to take is one walking in the door, and then the whole jail is exposed. So I mean, and we can't make them wear masks, right? Have any of them asked to wear masks so they're not exposed to each other?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't even imagine wearing a mask. Well, I can imagine because as my husband was in the hospital, I had to wear a mask for 36 hours straight, and I even slept in it. It was not at all. So I can't imagine in a jail situation you would. That filtration system that we're getting for the courtroom, will that filter the jail as well? Can anyone answer that?
That would probably be a good question for Randy. I'm not sure.
Clint's shaking his head. So Clint, do you have comments?
No, the air purification is based on the historic area and the ventilation system over there, so it's not for the new part
It's
of
not the jail. How much was that system?
To look back, I think it was around 5,000.
That's what I was thinking. I don't know. I mean, when you start thinking about how much it will cost us if we get a jail full of COVID patients, I'm wondering if a $5,000 filtration system, if that would help. I'm not sure that will help as far as people that are living in that environment. I don't know, but I'm just wondering if that's something that we should talk about. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but if they get sick with COVID in our jail, we're stuck with the bill unless they happen to have insurance, which probably many of them do not. Is that accurate?
A lot of times when an inmate is incarcerated in the jail, their health insurance no longer covers them. So it does become our cost. We do charge that to their canteen account. So they do incur a debt, but sometimes those debts aren't paid off. And then the only benefit we're given is that we are allowed to charge them at the medical assistant rates, which is much lower.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, you start thinking about, I mean, granted, many of them are probably young, so maybe they wouldn't get really sick, but it wouldn't take more than 1 or 2 ICU stays to break us. So I don't know what should we be talking about as far as trying to prevent it from happening. I don't know. I mean, I guess I just don't know either exactly what. I mean, we only have so much space. The jail is as big as it is, right? You're muted, Jim. Can you unmute yourself, Jim?
Lisa?
Yep, there you are.
Sometimes when we have a person that ends up going to the hospital, we've been able to work with the district attorney, and what happens is we're able to release them from custody, and the bill does not become ours. So
that would be the plan if we had anyone come down with COVID.
right, Jennifer's been very helpful.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that the plan because we talk about this. Hold on. We've talked about this for years and years. We've worked together for years. But it's definitely not a straight out. If someone goes to the hospital, we're going to cut them loose from custody. That's on a case by case basis. For instance, we've got an OWI 10 sitting in the jail. So I'm doubtful we would, for instance, in his case, throw up our hands and say, oh yeah, we just don't want that medical bill. So Jim and I and Clay have worked really well together at shifting the people around when we can, getting people out on EMP instead of Huber to get them out of the jail, to cut them loose on occasion when we need to deal with the medical issues. But I would just jump in with my concern about the word plan, because I'm not sure that that's actually it. What I would say is we would continue to proceed as we have to check cases on an individual basis. So we save the county money and continue with protection of the public.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah, I should be careful what words I use. Yeah, I think it's good. I think what you're doing is good, and we should keep doing everything we can, because the thought of having a jail full of COVID cases is pretty daunting.
There's another factor that comes with that, Melissa, when we do have a person up to the hospital, that we have to utilize deputies to sit with them as well. So like the district attorney said, these are on a basis come, and there are times where we cannot let them out, and we put deputies up there, which puts a lot of overtime on the county as well as the bill from the hospital.
Right. Okay.
I had a couple comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I think that, I don't know what negative pressure rooms, if we're able to get any of those, it's probably a huge HVAC issue, but negative pressure is probably better than an air filtration system. But I'm also curious about our last interviews that we had. Did they all accept the job that we offered, or did they turn them down, or?
So to answer that, we hired 4 people out of that, right?
Yes.
4. And of those, we've already lost 1. I started working on the remainder of the list. We lost a female. I contacted the remaining female on the list. She's no longer interested in a position here, so we're looking to reopen.
And then I guess my other comment is in Vernon County, and this, I know Vernon and Richland are different, but if there's a person that's incarcerated in the jail, they have to go to the hospital. Usually a jail staff member goes with them. I know they have more people and have stuff to do that, but what about bringing people in to sit with them if they have an extended stay at the hospital, not utilizing a deputy?
There is a potential for that, but the major issue being is that we utilize patrol deputies because they're armed security. Maybe you could have a jailer up there with a certain individual, depending on, I guess, their level of compliance and agreeability. But most of our jail staff are not certified law enforcement officers. They're certified jailers. They cannot carry a gun. They don't have the tools that the rest of us utilize on patrol. So is that an option? Yes. Is it our best option? No.
Then are we testing prisoners when they come in off the street? Are we doing a nasal test for COVID-19 or for prevention stuff? Or are we just putting them in and hoping that they are negative?
We are doing a temperature screen, symptom screen when they come in, but not a test of itself. It's just doing symptom checking, temperature checking, and then monitoring them as time goes on.
Clint, would it be a possibility for us to be able to test them? Because then you'd only have to hold them for a few days to know positive or negative. And you wouldn't have to worry about then they could go into the general population. Is that something that's a possibility?
I do not know. Testing would be outside my wheelhouse. I'd have to ask either through emergency manager or through public health to understand more of that.
It seems like that would be an easier way to know what we're bringing into. Although they say if you test negative, you're still supposed to quarantine for 14 days if you've been exposed to a known positive. But at least it would be more information. Does anyone know how expensive the tests are? No? Okay.
Yeah, the other thing though too, like with that is like I know they have a rapid test that I've heard they've been using at the ER, but I've also heard the accuracy of the rapid test is not real great. So, I guess it could give you an idea, but with the low accuracy, how much do you want to trust it?
I concur with what Clay said on that. With me working in an emergency room where we do those PCR testing, a lot of them are coming back negative, but they're symptomatic, and doctors just tell them that, hey, you're negative, you're probably early onset with this virus if you have it, and so you're just not testing positive for it. So you need to treat yourself like you are positive and do that quarantine and follow up with your provider because you may need another test later on.
So if we did do the testing, we would not want to do the rapid test. We would want to do the full on stick the swab up into your brain one, right?
Yeah, but then you're getting into, did they do it accurately?
Yeah. So you think that it's quarantine? Right. I mean, I was just thinking that it's putting him in the holding cell, but then being forced to put them into the general, to wherever you have them. And I don't know, it would address some of the issues they have with space.
Another potential issue that I can think of is I don't know what authority we would have to make somebody take that test, because if they're not convicted, they were just arrested, they've been charged, but they're not convicted. I don't know what authority we would have to make somebody take a test.
But you can make them go. You can make them go to the hospital, right?
Yeah, you guys send people up to the hospital all the time to get medical clearance, like if they're super.
Yeah. So,
I think get awfully expensive if we send everybody to the hospital before they come into jail.
Right.
And another thing, Melissa, I'm not so sure. I want my deputies, doing something where they're sticking something up their nose.
Well,
yeah.
And we can't call somebody in just to come in and have it.
All right. So maybe what I'll do, have a quick conversation with Rose, just asking for thoughts on if there's anything else have you guys talked to Rose as far as is getting advice on, is there anything else you can or should be doing?
We've been doing this since March 17th. I put it all on the Irish.
Right, but back in March there was almost no COVID here, and now there's clearly a lot of COVID here.
We're treating it the same.
What I'm saying is that the procedures we were doing in March were really effective because there really wasn't COVID here yet, and so I'm just trying to think proactively so that we don't get into a situation where we have 23 people with COVID in our jail.
And we couldn't stop it.
Madam Chair, I can talk.
I think, you know, I can
certainly testing, what training would include, and also what type of a labs would include. You know, with the testing, I don't know what the chain of custody and labs and all that part of it looks, but I can ask Rose on that. Possibly not today, but hopefully by next week.
Okay, I mean, if there's anything we haven't discussed, I think, you know, we should make sure we're pursuing all avenues to try to prevent it from running rampant if it gets into the jail.
I think we can reach out to Rose and see if there's anything additional we can be doing. That's certainly not an issue. And I'm willing to do that. She's quite busy. I'll try and get a hold of her and see if there's any other recommendations she has for us, and see what's reasonable for us to implement. We'll certainly put an effort into utilizing whatever recommendations she has.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth, you know, the situation in our county has changed, so maybe some of the recommendations have changed as well.
Yeah.
You know, we just need to do due diligence, and if it happens, it happens, but at least we can say we did everything we could, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So Sheriff, did you have any, well, I think you have a couple other reports to go through. We didn't go through the jail one yet. Is that true, or are we done?
No. I'll get to it here. For the average number of inmates housed in our county, it stayed pretty much the same. It's 2335. We've had nobody out of county. Our monthly complaints have gone up just a little bit. Traffic citations, of course, have been up because we were on the grant at 77. Warnings were 0. Civil process is pretty much on pace as it's always been. Transports, we haven't had very many transports. They're about the same. The average number on electronic monitoring is at 5. And for the jail activity, we had 344 calls for service, 106 calls for EMS, and 56 calls for the Richland Center Police Department. And I might add that there seems to be an uptick of EMS calls. That's all I've got to report, Melissa.
Okay, and I assume that you guys you're always evaluating whether inmates can go out on electronic monitoring. I know when COVID first hit, you guys got quite a few out, but I'm assuming you've used the procedures, whatever procedures you have in place, to get as many out as you can.
Yes.
Okay. All right, is there anything else on your reports?
No, I think that'll do it.
All right, so then number 12 is approval to reopen hiring eligibility list.
So as I kind of mentioned earlier, where we depleted the last list and looking to reopen another list for jail staff.
Female? Is it a female jailer that you need, or are going to open both male and female?
I almost want to say we should probably just open it either way and get another list going, but we're looking to hire a female.
Okay. So I think we need to make a motion to let you do that, correct?
This is Chad. I'll move.
Someone want a second?
Gary Severson seconds.
Thank you. All right, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, go ahead and reopen your list.
Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to number 13, sick leave donation discussion and possible approval.
You want to take that, Clint?
In regards to transferring time over to an employee, the situation was an employee was quarantined out on precautions with COVID-19 and went into the negative balance, I believe, on sick leave. Coming back off of that quarantine, employee had a accident, I believe, on the commute to or from work. resulting in several more missed days. Language that we have in the handbook for being able to donate leave requires kind of catastrophic type of language that we have to use to be able to do a donation or a transfer of leave from one employee to another. The situation doesn't quite meet that threshold, but underneath the circumstances of the employee, with the quarantine in place that put them at a negative balance and allowing that other employees to donate it, Sheriff's Office is looking for an exception to the policy, which would have to travel through Personnel and Finance and onto County Board to allow other employees to donate to that employee to allow for them to be compensated for that lost time at this point. Did I state that correctly, Jim and Clay?
Yes.
So didn't we approve for that position to get reimbursed their sick time?
Yes, that hasn't taken place yet. And then that I guess at this point, that person went 2 days unpaid now because of the negative balance. The 2 of the days that they were not allowed to return after the crash went unpaid because of the negative balance. So we're trying to give that particular person a cushion until the reimbursement comes, basically.
And Clint, when do we have any idea when the reimbursement will happen with the grant?
I don't know on the timeline for it to come back in with approval on it. I'd have to communicate with Darren. I know we've received some reimbursements, but I think it lags 2 to 3 weeks.
So by the time we get this through finance, and I mean, that's going to be a few weeks as well. So I have no issue. If someone wants to donate time, I don't even know why it needs to be catastrophic. If someone wants to be nice, like, what's the big deal? Let's let them do it. Chad, are you agreeing with me? You're on mute, but
I agree with that too.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
yes. I mean, if someone wants to donate, I think that's awesome. And so I don't have an issue with approving this. So I guess they're also going to get their sick time back. So I guess this is really nice of that person because getting reimbursed for at least the COVID quarantine sick days as well. So I would entertain a motion to approve that if someone wanted to do that.
This is Chad. I'll move.
This is Carrie out seconds.
All right. Any discussion?
I just have one little thing. Like, I think that we should look at this, countywide, especially if maybe, let's say that if a person got hurt and was a new employee and didn't have any sick time available to them or whatever, that this would help them out and hopefully help with employee retention also.
Right. I mean, so is this I guess it's in our handbook. It must be in our employee handbook, how we handle donations. Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know, Clint, if this is not something that's on the radar to address and talk about countywide as far as the limited criteria there that we apparently only allow it in what is catastrophic?
Let me flip on the language.
I think it said catastrophic and life-threatening, I believe was the wording. If
So
Clint
it's like cancer and things like that. But why? If someone is willing to donate, is it a big administrative headache to do the transfer? Is that why we don't want to do it willy-nilly?
Administratively, we can move the numbers, I guess, from a management perspective, and leaving it wide open. You're going to run into complications of incentives to return to work. You're going to run into potentially other types of unforeseen things that's going to allow for unwanted or undesired transactions. When you do it as well, you do have some accounting type of issues of how much you're kind of with every type of a bank, you're kind of assuming some unfunded types of liabilities that go along with it as well. So there could be more management challenges that would come from isolated cases from just expanding it open to no requirements at all.
Okay, so obviously it takes a little more discussion, but it's something I think that it's worth talking about again. I don't know how long that policy's been in place, but I don't know when the last time it was actually discussed either, so.
Would it have to be actual sick leave, or could it just be personal time or vacation time that they give back to somebody? Like, I'm going to give up 2 days of my 3 weeks or 4 weeks of vacation to this person, not necessarily I'm going to give up sick leave, or is that just all the same?
I believe the wording just allows for sick leave, so you can donate up to 3 days of sick leave to a person in need if they have a catastrophic or life-threatening illness.
Melissa, this is Jennifer. Can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
So, so since we have state employees in my office, what the state does is it's not catastrophic. It's not limited to our sick leave. It's vacation. We can use vacation as well. And the other issue that comes up is the limitation is really tight. 3 days. There might be people who'd be willing to give 4 or 5 or 10. And so the cap being so tight was also up for discussion at the state level.
Okay, well, I mean, this is, I guess, I think that we can move forward with this particular case. And then I think maybe Clint, at some point, maybe it's something that we should talk about at finance, just to see what the possibilities are and what what's good and bad about maybe loosening it up a little bit. Okay.
My question, Melissa, would be,
Yeah.
would the variance from this, would that have to go before personnel and finance to get that approved?
I mean, I sort of assume so, since it's I don't know, I assume it would have to go to finance since it's a deviation from a personnel policy.
Yeah.
I would say yes.
Yeah, me too. So unfortunately, yeah, which finance doesn't meet until November, the second Tuesday or first Tuesday in November.
They will have to meet prior to the October.
Oh, the 27th. We could put it on the October 27th. So that helps. That's only a couple of weeks away.
Okay.
I have another question too. So if the employee had some type of a physical injury that prevented her from doing her job, or you felt that she had a physical injury that would prevent this person from doing their job, and you would have to send them home because, hey, you're not physically fit to be working in the jail or wherever you're out on the road, that you need to take time off to heal. That would be off the back or sending them home, correct? The county? Because you're not safe to be working in our county.
If they're not fit for duty, then what probably would be a doctor saying that they're not able to, do their job. But yeah, they would be sent home, and if they didn't have sick leave to cover their absence, if it was a non-workplace related injury, they would be without a paycheck.
Any other questions or discussion on this? If not, I think we'll call the question. All those in favor of, oh, I'm sorry, what? You have a question?
I have a question.
Yes?
As a department head, it didn't seem to me that the county clerk should be the one making the decision. I thought that the department head should be the one. And I kept on thinking, well, maybe I need to go up and talk with him, but I thought that this would be the correct way to address this. Being a department head, I should have been able to make that decision. And there was no decision for me as a department head. And as well as being the sheriff. So the decision was made upstairs. I had no say in it. So that's why I'm bringing it to you this way. I did not feel it was fair. I felt that with him saying that the word catastrophic to him was a little bit different than what I thought was catastrophic. She was injured in this accident. She totaled her car. It wasn't like it was a little traffic bump. It was a bad accident. And I had no say in this whatsoever. And I think that every department head should listen to what I'm saying because you don't have any say in it either. So that was the part that got to me. As the sheriff of Richland County, I had no say in this, nothing.
The current language, Madam Chair, is a catastrophic illness is defined as a prolonged non-occupational illness or injury, which is life-threatening as determined by the county clerk and supported by medical substantiation from the employee's treating physician. The line above that is this policy is intended to provide financial assistance and support to regular full-time, regular part-time employees of the county who have exhausted all paid time and benefits and who are unable to return to work due to a catastrophic illness or injury suffered by them.
Okay.
It basically says that the county clerk is the one that makes the decision whether it's catastrophic or not.
Right.
As supported by medical substantiation.
So isn't that one of the situations where we change the language from county clerk to county administrator and that we will be approving at the October 27th meeting? Is that
as proposed?
As proposed, right. So it still would not be department head. It would be the county administrator working, but I assume the county administrator would be working with the department heads to make those decisions, correct?
Well, I'd also be looking for supported by medical substantiation from the employee's treating physician.
Right, which that makes sense. I mean, I'm sure the person could easily, if you're in an accident, you could easily get your doctor to sign I mean, that's just automatic anymore. They always ask if you need any documentation for work or whatever. Okay, so Jim, I think that maybe that's something we need to, because it's not just in this particular decision. I mean, we have the county administrator now, and that's really how we've chosen to do the administration of our county, but that doesn't mean we can't work on clarifying how department heads work with the county administrator to make decisions like this as well.
But is there an appeal process? I mean, this was the only alternative that I could go is the way I'm approaching it now.
Right.
It didn't say that there was any appeal process from a department head.
Okay, so maybe that's kind of some language we need to clarify when we're going back through and evaluating this policy in general, Clint. I would say that part of the discussion should also include, if someone disagrees with what qualifies as catastrophic, although maybe if we get rid of that language, then the issue becomes lessens that issue. But I think that should be included in the discussion.
I give you, if I can, a little experience on my behalf. So when I sustained an injury and I had to be off of work because my job requires me to be 100% physically able to perform my duties and life-saving measures. And so when HR says, hey, we can work, we can find a job and put it on there, but then I didn't get hurt at work. So then they would talk to my supervisor, and the supervisor then, or my manager would say, no, he can't work because of this and blah, blah, blah. Or if I needed more time off of my family medical, HR says, yes, it's fine, but did you talk to your consultant? No. And then we worked out 10 hours, and as long as HR was in the loop and the manager was in the loop with everything working out, then I think it worked fine. And I don't see why Richland County can't do that, where the HR representative or the administrator in this case wouldn't be talking with the department head on, is it okay? Or can we do it out, extend it? I wouldn't see why that would be an issue if other places are doing that.
Right. So, I mean, we can't solve this here. Obviously, this is issue we're going to have a discussion at, I'm assuming, probably personnel and finance, where we look at this particular wording in the employee handbook and determine all of these things. So, Clint, I mean, I guess when you bring that forward, if you could include some of the comments from the sheriff and from Carrie as far as what the concerns are. I mean, I can forward you what I've got too, but I think that this is something that as we move forward in working through the employee handbook with changes, this is one of the things that we should be talking about.
It's because like Like
One
the
more.
doctor could say that, okay, you're released to go back to work on light. The sheriff's department out on the road, but Jim says, you know, I can't have somebody on light duty working on the road. I need them to be able to be 100% because they got to go through whatever. And so HR may say, yeah, that person could return to work at, you know, light duty, but Jim says, no, I can't have a light duty person back at work. So,
Right.
Another part to this, Melissa, is that Lieutenant Knable is the one that wants to donate the 3 days. Because of the COVID, the person was in the negative. Now we had a chance because she was involved in an accident that Lieutenant Knable graciously was willing to give up 3 of his sick days to assist a fellow employee. And the wording that it goes is catastrophic. She was injured in this accident. She was told not to come to work. Graciously, he offered the 3 days so that she would get paid. She didn't get paid. So that's why I brought this forward.
Right. So let's go ahead and approve this now here, and then we will make sure that the updating of the employee handbook is on for future agenda to get this to talk about this again.
Yeah, I'll move to approve. It's Chad.
I think we already did, right? Weren't we in discussion? Yeah, I think you approved. You, Gary, was second. Yeah. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries, and we will continue to have this discussion. Thanks for and tell Dane thank you. That was very generous of him. All right, item number 14: open and approve AED bids.
All right. Does everybody have the bids?
Yeah, it looks to me like the as SOS, right?
Yes.
Was the one, and that's that Michael Gallo, right? Yeah. So we've been yeah. So I mean, theirs was significantly right. The one was 33, and the other one was.
Yes. Yeah. They were significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
And it was difficult. It kind of had to I don't know, jump through some hoops here to get 3, but we were able to get 3, and yeah, SOS is clearly doing some magic for us here.
Yeah. So just for your future reference, you have to make an effort, but if you can't get 3, you just have to document what you did to try to get the 3rd, and
Okay.
it's okay. You don't have to, go to the end of the earth. You'd have to make due diligent effort to get 3 bids. You don't have to go to extreme measures to get 3. So just FYI.
Okay.
So I would entertain a motion to accept the bid from SOS Technologies for the AEDs. So, and this would be, just to remind everyone, this would be, we got $25,000 in the borrowed funds from last year to cover the cost of these, to get them in one in the jail, and then in all of our squads.
Correct.
So
Here's
I would,
2 seconds.
perfect. Who was Chad first, I assume?
Yeah.
Oh, I made the motion. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So any other discussion? I'm pretty excited to get these in the squads. This will be great. All right.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, motion carries. We need to get some ADs in the squads. All right, radio tower project update.
Hey, Madam Chair, you do have a document that was placed in just this morning into your folder. I'll give everybody a minute to pull it up. But looking today for motion to approve tentative plan and seeking soliciting a request for proposal to find a consultant to assess Richland County's radio and tower and develop specification designs for improvements, and forward to Corporation Council for review and on to Finance and Personnel for approval. The background, Richland County emergency radio and tower infrastructure is aging with multiple components past recommended lifespan. The radio tower system also has significant dead spots due to topography and limitation in current equipment. Limitations impact our communication with patrol, emergency response, firefighting partners, and overall jeopardizes public safety with communications when communications fail. The current plan resembles a hasty timeline that looks like this: phase 1. Assessment specification design with a consultant, looking to finalize a draft, which we've done with responses back from our team, looking for approval of the plan and specification RFP today, Corporation Council review to follow, and then taking to Finance and Personnel in November. Phase 2 then would be to publish and release the RFP, have a pre-bid conference with folks interested in bidding on the consultant and assessment. Proposals due on the 9th, review proposals on the 11th, and select finalists with your committee, Madam Chair. Interview finalists in January, award a contract through county board on the 19th, preliminary progress report to the committee on the 12th, and then final report on June 11th. And again, this is kind of this would be an RFP to put out for a consultant that would do an assessment on our current system, identify problems, help design help us design what our problems are to put out then to other companies to bid on bringing back solutions to the county. So at that point, then the county could actually understand how much of an investment it would take to fix identified problems. Turning the page in the summary, the financial review, apportionment needed. We're looking to right now tentatively have it scheduled in for 2021 short-term borrowing, a designation of $45,000 for assessment, specification design for 2021 borrowing. The investment would only be to assess our system and design a specification to receive bids and plans to remedy. Following 2022 or thereafter for actually having a solution and how much that would cost. The next page is composed of the RFP. This document was templated with Clark County, and we took it into our possession, made changes on it, and digested it with a focus group, I believe on 2 different meetings with comments coming back. So again, this is still being a draft format, and we would take it through Corporation Council to ensure we're not getting into trouble, and then also through Finance and Personnel to make sure that we would have their support as the money would be coming through borrowed funding for it before we would solicit it out.
All right, so what you're asking us to do is to approve this plan, correct? The timeline and plan?
That is correct.
And to send it on to Corp Council and Finance and Personnel.
Yes, Madam Chair.
So before we start discussion, I would entertain a motion to forward this tentative plan seeking solicitation or request for proposal to find a consultant to assess our radio tower and tower designs, whatever. Yeah, sorry. I would accept a motion to approve a tentative plan and seeking soliciting a request for proposals to find a consultant to assess Richland County's radio and tower and development specification designs for improvements to forward to Corp Council for review and on to Finance and Personnel.
This is
Chris
Chad.
Anderson moves.
Chad will second.
Great. All right, now discussion. Is there any questions from anyone? I mean, this timeline is pretty tight, and so hopefully we can get it all done because it'd be great to get this project moving. All right. Oh, go ahead, Barb.
Sorry. I just want to throw in here, we do need to start moving because I don't know how many of you are on social media, but we noticed last week that the new towers that are in for FirstNet and Bug Tussle are being advertised that their space is available for lease to anyone. I saw the ads on Facebook and went, oh, that's not a good thing because other people are going to load up those towers and we're not going to get space on them. And that's not a good thing for Richland County.
Has anyone had contact with Bug Tussle? I mean, is there anything that we can do to ask them to save us space, or
Well,
because that's
the
part of
problem
their.
is there's like 27. I mean, I can talk to my rep from there, but I think there's 20 some towers. Clay, if you remember the number of towers, be sure and jump in. There's like an ungodly number of towers, and the consultant is going to tell us where we need to put those. Oh, Jason just messaged me 13. And the consultant's job is to come in and take a look at what we've got and then determine what we need. So we can say, yep, save a space, but do we want to say save a space on all 13 towers? That's probably something they're not going to be willing to do.
Well, it certainly seems like it'd be worth a conversation with them to just let them know of what our timeline is, where we're at. Because I will say that one of their big selling points for all these was that they were going to let law enforcement, it was going to help with our emergency communications. Mm-hmm. And if they then sell out all those spaces and don't leave space for us, then they have negated that promise. And so they need all the help they can get as far as negative or positive publicity, so I do think it's worth a conversation with them just to say, hey, we have, and you can show them this timeline and just say, we're getting there, but, we just don't know for sure if we were going to need all of them or some of them. And here's where we're at. And having seen that advertisement, we are concerned that there would not be space when we do need it. So I feel like it's in their best interest to work with us and save some space. But I guess we need to know. And if they say, well, screw you, we're going to give it to, we could sell it and make money to these people. And we're saying that we wouldn't have to pay was the original kind of conversations. Is that true, Clay? Have you had conversations with Bug Tussle?
I don't recall ever being told we didn't have to pay. I know possibly we might get a reduced amount for space, but I don't know if free was ever in the works. I think, and what Barb suggested is maybe we can reach out to Brandon from FirstNet. Mm-hmm. And if he's not the person to talk to, I'm sure he could direct us to whoever it is.
Yeah. Even if we have to pay to be on those towers, it's still cheaper than building our own towers by a long shot. We can pay rent on those towers for many, many years and still not even come close to the cost of building one of those towers. So,
and that was my concern, is that we definitely want to be on their towers because it is less expensive.
Yeah. So I would ask then that you guys please get in touch with them as soon as you can, based on those advertisements. That it's something we should move on as soon as we can. All right. In
my opinion, I think Bug Tussle and them are a shady company, but I know that we might have some negative stuff going on because the highway department's pursuing some legal stuff because they didn't do stuff correctly at a property south of southern Richland County.
Right, the driveway, going in, they didn't do it correctly. Yeah. Well, the best we can do is talk to them and see what they say and go from there. But the less towers we have to build, the less, that's where our significant costs are going to be. Someone told me, I thought $350,000 per tower. Is that accurate? Yes, we don't know, but there are a lot.
This is Bob. That really depends on the height, the location, the terrain. There's so many different variables that go into that question.
I suppose the harder area it is to get to, the more expensive it is to get it there. And
getting power there, getting roads in, and all that stuff, it varies drastically. I would really encourage that contact, because if Bug Tussle FirstNet does not know what the needs are, then they can't help at all. So I guess I'm a little surprised that conversation hasn't already developed with them as the towers were going up. That's been the encouragement over time, is that at least those contacts be made. So I think it's really important to get that started now, so they know what our needs are. We'll sell the space for money.
Yeah, we've been having those conversations, which is why when I saw it advertised on Facebook, quite frankly, I was like, we don't have that, but I can't say I need space on this, and this tower because I don't know what our needs are.
Right. Yeah. As long as they know we want space. Hopefully I guess what I'm hearing here is we didn't know who the contact was to be talking to about the space. And yet I'm also hearing that they've had contact about the space. So we need to narrow down who that person is and get those requests on there. And if it's at all 13 sites, say, you know what, we may want a position at 6 of them. We don't know which 6, but at least get that name on their list.
And I know at least of one tower that they have control over, that they have underground power going all the way in there to that tower, and they have fiber optic going all the way into that tower underground, and they also have a big propane tank up there for whatever reason.
It's a backup generator.
Yeah, or the generator.
Yep.
So they got all that infrastructure there at them towers. So
Yeah, the infrastructure's there, and I also know that they're paying the landowners a dollar amount per month. They've got to cover those costs. The FirstNet usage is hopefully going to cover those costs as people get on to FirstNet. But I also want to make sure that we understand that FirstNet and the Richland County radio system are actually 2 separate pieces. They're FirstNet offering really good communication for law enforcement is not the radio system that we're talking about here. They're really 2 separate pictures. And so we want to make sure we're separating those and hope that we can combine with their resources.
Okay, so Barb and Kay, you guys will make sure you reach out to whoever you need to reach out to make sure that our timeline is clear, that they know that this is moving forward, that we can't give them set, because that's going to be the consultant's job. We don't know how many towers, but we're going to need some towers, and to please leave space for us. And I mean, that we just need space, regardless of how much, whatever they're going to charge. That's a discussion for later. All right, anything else on that? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the motion carries to send this timeline on to Corp Counsel and Finance and Personnel. All right, so now we're down to 16, mapping radio system and squad updates.
I don't really have anything on mapping, and what you've heard on the radio system is kind of what I have discussed on the radio system.
Right.
School updates, Jim kind of alluded to earlier, and I had mentioned it in my email to you all. I have all 4 squads back from Gen Com. We just picked the last one up yesterday. 2 of those 4 are currently in service, and the next 2 probably will be going out into service in the next week, maybe 2. They seem to be working well. Everything turned out great. Very happy with Gen Com's work and assistance in that. I don't have it on this agenda, but probably be asking you permission to sell a vehicle in the near future that we won't be utilizing anymore.
Presumably one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that are still over 150,000 miles or over 100,000 miles.
It would be the old Squad 14 that I just replaced on the mileage chart. So
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, so that's number 7. Yeah. Okay.
Melissa, when we redid the 911 project, and Clay, maybe I'm wrong, but we now contract our mapping to be done by Zerker, and we pay them the maintenance cost for that. I think that item is a standing item, can probably be taken off. I think it's taken care of now.
This is Bob. If I can address the topic. So
go ahead.
Thank you. So the mapping project, we're just in the state of Wisconsin. We did contract with GeoCom. GeoCom is currently doing a survey of all the PSAPs and requesting data for mapping, MSEG, and what's known as the ALI, automatic location information. And we've had responses back from all the counties, but about 4 or 5. Richland County turned their information in this last week or so. So thank you, Barb and Jason and Lynn, for getting that information in. What that is it's part of the EZNet build. And the mapping and the data that's going to come from whatever agency. Some people contract it. Well, last I knew in Richland County that the actual mapping updates were being done by Lynn, meaning a new road comes in or a new address comes in, and those things are done there. At least that's where we got the GIS layers from, was from Lynn Newkirk up in zoning. So once that information is done, it'll be gone through and identified what the problem areas are, what needs to be cleaned up, so they can tie into the new EZNet system and we get that up and running. We just finished Thursday. Yeah, yesterday we had a Crawford County review, went through all their data, found all their errors and the things that they need to do to correct it. So I guess I don't know how much Zerker is going to be doing, if they're actually handling all the new information that's coming in, all the new road center lines. Are they handling all the new address points? Are they doing everything and Lynn's not doing it? Or is this information still going through Lynn? I'm a little confused about how this will be handled.
Lynn still gets some of it, but they're also doing, she has to do any address updates and so on. But the problem was we were having updates weren't getting done. The updates were 9 years between at one point, and it wasn't an acceptable answer. So then we decided we were going to do them every 6 months. After that, I think it was over a year. So we felt like we needed to be doing updating material a little more frequently. So Zerker is, you know, they're going to do, when Lynn does an update, she will send it, and then we will get that to them, and they will maintain that data within there. So anything Lynn updates will be reflected on there.
Okay, so Lynn's still going to be doing the updates for the county, including ESNs, emergency service zones. If a fire district changes, she's still doing all those. She's sending it to Zerker. Zerker's doing the upload into the 911 system. So Lynn still needs to be in this whole loop then.
Yep, and she is.
Okay, then that's fine. I'm just saying moving forward as part of the EZNet and making sure that the EZNet meets the NENA mapping standards, she's going to be the contact to handle the GIS part of that then. So I guess I'm a little concerned about taking this agenda item off, because as we move forward with the EZNet, and maybe it should be moved on to the Land Records Department then, to make sure that this is getting done and getting followed up on, and any resources they need. On the state side, we're also looking at getting grant money for the GIS. We're trying to put a separate program in just to handle the extra work it's going to take to update the maps or bring it to the standard. So I kind of want to make sure I've got the right connections here to the right people.
Well, I understand that, and I appreciate that very much, Bob. My thing is, I don't know what LEJC is going to do about it every month. That's what I don't think it needs to be on.
And that's fine. Do we move it on to the land information sides for the 911 piece? Because the 911 piece is law enforcement or LEJC, whereas you know, they work together. So I just want to make sure that we don't want to miss anything.
I don't think it hurts to keep it on the agenda. I mean, if there's nothing to talk about, there's nothing to talk about. But then if something does come up, we're able to talk about it and keep track of it. So I'm okay with leaving it on there unless someone else has an objection.
And the grant process might include both the LEJC, the Zerker part of it, along with Lynn's part with the GIS. It may be a combination purpose for grants also.
Yeah, I mean, I think mapping has kind of been on there for a long time because we used to have issues. So it was sort of a standing agenda item because things kept failing. But I think now we have this new system, so it shouldn't fail anymore. But I guess let's just leave it on for now and see how it goes. Was there anything from that agenda item? All right. Good. Okay. All right. Then we are to item number 17, adjournment.
Jerry Severson moves to adjourn.
Chad will second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Stay healthy.
Thank
Yep.
you.
But
Bye.